Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Rapid Fire. My name is Max Scoville, and I'm joined by Brian Altano and special guest Jared Petty.
I'm special.
You loud man.
I am loud. Hey, thank you for having me. I'm so glad to be here.
Thanks for joining us. Okay, real quick. Christopher James Capitocchio says if you could make a crossover fighter.
Christopher James Capitocchio.
Why do I let you on the show?
That's my cousin.
Why are you like suddenly like a
That's a very Italian last name.
You're like a punch out.
Capitocchio.
Okay,
You're like a punch out character right now.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay,
It's not great at all. It's very terrible.
Excited. I see
Christopher
you, man.
James Capitocchio says if you could make a crossover fighter, what two franchises would you use?
Okay, I read that as crossbow fighter when I first saw it. I was just imagining people having crossbow fights.
Okay.
Crossover fighter, let's see. How about, let's do the Colossi from Shadow of the Colossus versus the wonderful Fighters Mega Mix from the Sega Saturn, where we had the Daytona cars that could punch people and all the other weird, zany characters there. So I want to be able to have Colossi and the horse from Shadow of the Colossus fighting cars and weird polygonish Sega Saturn fighting people. That's mine.
Yeah.
All right.
Down with that.
What about you, Brian?
I want to see a game where Sully from Uncharted has to fight all of the animals from Primal Rage in the mental hospital.
Okay.
Like he goes crazy and he's like, Nate, there's dinosaurs everywhere. They're trying to pee on fart on him.
I can say with some authority there are no dinosaurs in the mental hospital.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I guess you didn't get mental.
I mean,
enough.
that depends what you're in for.
Yeah. You could have gone further.
I promise you I saw no dinosaurs.
Okay,
That's all I
well,
can say.
I'm glad they're keeping them out of there because they probably upset the patients.
How great were the drugs, though?
I was.
It's a whole other can of worms.
I mean,
good
were
heavens.
they can of dinosaurs good or what?
You know what? Well, we'll just move on to Max's choice.
I was
going
to say
fighting.
Motorstorm versus Nintendogs. What?
Horrible.
All right.
You kill the dogs with the car?
No, maybe
Well,
the
you can fight back.
Dogs might kill the car.
Or the dogs drive the car?
no,
don't really know.
Street Fighter 2, you fight that car, right?
I
This
like
could
my
work.
Sully dinosaur thing better.
I like that 2 of the 3 of these feature cars, and the third features
All right, I got one.
dinosaurs.
SimCity versus Tetris.
Oh wow! Yeah, I think the only time the Tetris things appear as characters is that's at the end of Star Tropics 2, right?
Yep.
Yeah, the Tetris pieces are characters in that game.
Or where has
Why
your
would
brain
you?
worked?
Why would you bring a serious answer to that question?
Well, it did happen once.
All right.
Capitocchio!
Good Lord, stop it. Aiden Simmons says, "What game has caused you the most rage while playing?"
Oh wow!
Oh yeah, he said playing with an H. Playing.
Rage. Oh my goodness.
I had to review Wonderful 101, and I was not having a good time with that. Does that game just doesn't end? And I would think I was on a really tight deadline. And I mean, it's one of those games. I think any game where you want it to be over, and whether or not you're reviewing it, if you're just like, all right, let's see what happens now, and
You're gonna be in a world of hell now because there's only 2 types of people that play that game. It's people who didn't play that game at all, and people who think it's the greatest video game ever made.
yeah. Well, I'm sure they already probably hate me on account of my review for it, which I don't remember what I gave.
That's
it,
true. I'm trying to think. The last time I got pretty angry at Bloodborne the other day. I screwed that pooch up big time. I got to the very end of that game. I had all 3 umbilical cords. I beat Cainhurst Castle. I did all the DLC. Just crushed it. And you get to the very end. There's that man in the wheelchair, and he was like, "Do you accept death or do you refuse?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna accept death so I can go to hell and fight the demon." And it just plays the credits. And you don't get the good ending, and it starts you all the way over in the new game plus, where everyone is harder and your weapon breaks all the time, and all the men are mad, and they're like, "Away, away!" It's hard, man. It's hard out here. I got very upset with that. I just put my controller down and just walked outside.
You just got Andy Kaufman by From Software.
Yeah, and I knew that. I'm stupid though, and so I screwed it all up.
What about you, Jared? You've got patience for the worst games, I think.
I've played some pretty bad stuff. I had to review Cobalt for IGN when I worked here, which was the Mojang's follow-up to Minecraft, which was an adorable-looking side-scrolling platformer that unfortunately was fundamentally broken when we had it, and just didn't work very well. And that was trying to play a very precise, not particularly well-designed platformer that doesn't work for review. That's a very frustrating experience, to say the least.
There were some guides that you worked on that drove you nuts.
Well, that's that's where I was going. It's old hat. I've said it on Beyond more than once, but having to write the guide for knack was just because the way knacks drop system is for it randomizes the collectibles. They're in the same location, but you don't know what you're going to get. But you also can't go back to knack levels and replay them and get collectibles. They're not in their hiding places anymore. So the only way to collect them all is to play through the game in full over and over and over and get back to the caves. So like if I miss something on level 7, you know, I would have to go all the way all the way around to level 7 again before I could try to get it again. So I had to play Knack through several times just do that.
I hated the caves.
And so I think I played Knack for like 60 hours, which is way more than anybody should ever play Knack.
That's rough.
That was bad.
Okay.
Because
I just want to say
that's a bad game.
For context, I think there was a several week stretch where you would spend a few hours a day playing The Little Mermaid on Nintendo Genesis.
I think it was the Nintendo version we were playing.
Yeah,
yeah.
It was just
we were playing the Genesis version.
Genesis,
that time,
yeah. And you were just everyone was gathered around, and you were sitting there
Yeah.
playing The Little Mermaid, which is a brutally hard game, and you were just playing it.
We had fun. We had a good time doing that. I like when I wrote the guide for GTA 5. I mean, I spent months playing that game.
Right.
And sometimes that was overnight. And especially during ramp up, there were times I was sleeping here working on that, but I enjoyed it. Like that was fun because it's a good game.
It's a very good game. Let's see. Jason Sutton says, "How do you decide when to just walk away from a game? I'm playing Shadow of War, and I feel like even though there is more game left, I'm just done."
When the game is no longer fun or interesting, then you should stop playing it. And that doesn't always mean stop playing it forever. Maybe take a break. But video games should be fun. And if it's not fun, then you're not getting the thing from the video game it's supposed to be doing. Like food should be satisfying or delicious or ideally a combination of two. If it is neither, spit it out.
No, I've compared giant, huge open world games to that episode of The Simpsons where Homer eats the huge sandwich.
Love this.
And by the end of it,
really
he's just trying to finish it, and it's not a good sandwich anymore. Just throw the sandwich out. You can always get another sandwich that's the same kind of sandwich. That's where the comparison really stops. But like, I've done the thing with a bunch of larger games where I get tired of them and I stop, and then I go back to them.
Yeah.
And I think that's really key. I think there's this mentality that you got to power through, and I think that's the quickest way to ruin something you're enjoying. But like, some of my favorite games I've put down and gone back to. That includes The Witcher 3, Metal Gear Solid 5, I think Grand Theft Auto 5. Like they're huge games, and you gotta let them breathe for a minute.
Yeah, I think you need your sort of palate cleanser thing between courses sometimes, right? Like I will regularly play like a difficult open world 3D action blah 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 RPG, RPG or whatever the hell. And then I'll die a bunch of times and I'll get pissed off at a boss and I'll put the controller down and then I'll play like a hop and bop platforming game or like a cutesy puzzle game or something that sort of just like clears the air a little bit, gives me a little chance to be like, video games are fun and I'm enjoying them. I have this like weird phobia where if I'm stuck in like 3 different games at the same time, it makes me just like hate video games altogether. Like I was talking about Bloodborne before, but like I was stuck on 2 bosses at the same time in that game that were just killing me. And I went and started another game, and I got stuck in a different situation. And all my idea of video games at that exact moment in time was frustration and immobilarity. Is effectively saying like, I can't progress any further sort of in a narrative sense or in a sort of entertainment sense from either of these things. And those are my big video games right now. And it didn't dawn on me like, no, you have hundreds of video games that you have access to.
Yeah, I mean,
play a different one.
I know that people love games because they're challenging. I think the worst thing is when you get stuck on a game.
Yeah.
One of my favorite games, sort of, I guess, is Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis. I think I had a broken copy of that game as a kid. There's a point in that game where you go in this labyrinth and you have these stone discs and there's a way you're supposed to align them, and then it opens a door and you keep going and the game progresses. And I, for whatever reason, could not get past that part. And I was just stuck.
No, that's possible. Was it copy protection? Was it the little disc that came with the box maybe you were supposed to look at, or one of those? There have been...
Oh, that's right. They did that.
Yeah, there have also been retail copies of games that, like Impossible Mission for the 7800, you just couldn't win. There have been a few other times. Ninja Turtles. Whoa, it got dark.
Oh, the lights went out.
Hi.
Oh, I guess it's changing color. I think we should probably wrap it up then.
What?
I think that's our cue.
Wow, that was beautiful.
Yeah.
That was very strange.
Anyway,
Nice.
yeah, games are hard sometimes, but you should play them, or you shouldn't. maybe do a little bit of both. Play them and then also don't play them.
There's one more question on the back I wanted to read because it's very, very quick. It's from Brad Hardcastle, and it says, "What's your favorite kind of sauce?"
Ooh, that's a great question.
I like making lasagna with a nice bechamel.
That's really good.
I also really like Szechuan sauce.
How do you separate a sauce from a condiment?
Coco Ichibanya's pork curry sauce that they serve. That's my favorite sauce.
That's your jam.
Yeah, it's the pork version. The beef's good too, but the pork curry is perfect.
I think a condiment's different.
Okay.
Like a mustard is different than like a sauce.
That's true. But if you get a condiment hot, does it become a sauce?
Why are you looking at me with such scorn? What's your answer, you tall idiot?
I don't know. I didn't come prepared to this podcast to talk about sauces.
Sauce Cast Beyond?
Yeah, while you're thinking about that, Max, has anyone made a comment yet on the show since the Shadow remake came out that somebody just needs to climb you and stab you in all your tattoos to take your power? Like
That would suck.
I was saying, I don't think he has
that.
enough body hair.
okay,
No.
yeah,
Could really grab onto.
right.
No.
Do you have a couple of like back tufts that you can really?
Yeah, I've got 2 or 3 large back tufts.
All right, so back to sauce.
Like a good hot fudge is great.
Ooh, that's good. With that.
I guess that's a
Yeah,
sauce.
it's a sauce. Oh, it's hot
I've
fudge
just
sauce.
gone to
yeah.
the head. It's a good sauce. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, it's a good sauce.
Anyway, this concludes Rapid Fire. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Go on. Do it now. Yes, thank you. That'll do. Good night.
We saw you that you didn't. You got to do it now.
Yep. Thank you.
Much better.
Go on. There it is.
There it is.
Yes.
And you back there. I know about you.
I think I have to go do a live stream.
I know all about you.
Yeah, all right.
All right, are we still on?
Thank you.